Good evening. Just 2 weeks into his premiership and the Brown bounce, the popularity leap for new leaders seems to be strengthening. A new opinion poll puts Gordon Brown's Labour 7 points ahead of David Cameron's Tories, their biggest lead for 2 years. It's already fuelled further speculation that a general election may be called as early as next spring. Today, the Conservatives revealed their new campaign weapon exclusively to ITV News. It's called Stand Up, Speak Up, an online soapbox where the public can give its verdict on Tory policy. Our political correspondent, Chris Shipp, reports.
Don't adjust your set, it's a slick new campaign video. You could be forgiven for thinking an election is just round the corner. Well, there isn't yet, but this shows the Tories suspect there might be one soon. So on the day Gordon Brown really did bounce high in the polls, the Conservatives went looking for a slice of the action, asking for 5 minutes of your online time to thumb through a policy, an hour to wade through one. If it takes your fancy, you can now tell Dave what you do and don't like about his plans.
The age of big top-down politics, few people in Whitehall say they know best. That is gone, that is over. The internet allows us to engage with people in a completely new way.
You'll be aware that the biggest criticism of your leadership is that the party's too policy light. How do you think that this counteracts that criticism?
Well, I was absolutely determined on becoming leader not to rush into policies. I think people in this country have had enough of sort of muck politics where you just come up with a policy for a newspaper headline. That's what we've had from Labour. So we've taken 18 months, serious policy review groups.
The Tories were dreading a Brown bounce, and today they got it. Labour on the psychologically important 40% mark. The Sunday Telegraph ICM poll put the Tories trailing at 33%, the Lib Dems on 19%. That's the biggest lead Labour's had over David Cameron since he became leader. And to the question, who's best equipped to lead Britain in today's News of the World, 53% went for Gordon Brown, just 27% backed David Cameron.
Did you choke over your cornflakes when you saw the polls today?
Well, polls come and polls go, but I have an incredibly serious and important job to do, which is to give the British people a really good alternative to a government that's failed.
Nonetheless, it's a honeymoon for the government. The question for ministers is, can they keep it up?
We've got a leader who's established himself in a very strong way with a very clear vision for the future of the country. We've got clear policy priorities that address the modern challenges, domestic and international. And as a result, British politics has been turned on its head. So it's the government setting the agenda and the Tories looking ridiculous.
David Cameron suspected he may take a hit this summer, and that's what he's got. But both he and Gordon Brown know from experience, in politics, you're never on top for long.
So, Chris, David Cameron says polls come and polls go, but what do you think we should be reading into this?
Well, yeah, that was twice his response when I questioned him about the findings in 2 of today's papers. And, you know, to an extent he does have a point, but politicians do have a habit of brushing aside polls when they're not working in their favour. Of course, the Tories themselves are on 40% at the beginning of this year. It's a psychologically important figure to get to. I think we can probably now say that was more to do with the unpopularity of Tony Blair. But certainly in the 2.5 weeks since Gordon Brown took over here, several polls have given Labour a lift. What then does it all say about a general election? Well, it certainly won't dampen speculation that there will be a snap election, possibly as soon as the autumn. Gordon Brown knows he needs to get a mandate from the British people to legitimise his tenancy of this place. I suspect, though, he may wait a little longer before making a decision. He wants to see whether his serious form of politics really is going down well with the British people. As for the Tories, well, they know they've got to get back some of the limelight that, apart from their pro-marriage proposals last week, they've otherwise been denied.
Chris Shipp, thank you. 2 trainee doctors held over the failed car bomb attack